Peace, everybody. Welcome to Hip Hop Astrology TV. I'm your host, Ann Poole. We got Samaya Spade and Minister Jew is with us. And we just want to give y'all some quick facts real fast on Hip Hop Astrology. This is the place where the stars meet the stars, and we show you the spiritual phenomenon of physical events. In other words, these people who you call stars, these people who got stars on the Hollywood Boardwalk of Fame, there is a celestial component, a star in the sky that has an influence on physical behavior. And that's what we're here to do. So we're going to give it to you real fast. What I'm going to build on real fast is my man, Jay Electronica, the God from New Orleans. Now, one thing is very, very, very particular about New Orleans, because we did a trip there not too long ago. And you will see that New Orleans is really famous for tours on the graveyard. Like everybody else, when you go to their city, it's about the statues and the big old buildings and these beautiful places of nature. New Orleans is a place that is known to take you to the graveyard. It is the place of the voodoo, the place of the deep, dark, black mysteries, the spiritual power, the place of the human souls where ghosts literally walk down Bourbon Street and party. We have pictures of it, as you can see on the screen. All right, so I want to talk about Jay Elect real fast. The God, as you know, he's affiliated with the Nation of Islam and some say the 5% Nation. You saw Jay-Z come out over the summer and give him the 5% chain. You see Jay Electronica always quoting Minister Farrakhan, and you see him in his FOI, which means the Fruit of Islam uniform. All right. Now, something real, real particular that we got to get into. All right, especially for those of us in hip hop culture, we got to get into the phenomenon of this, what we call this God science, where in the Nation of Islam, it is said that there is something called a mother plane. George Clinton talked about it in the Parliament Funkadelic. There's a ship, a mother plane, a spaceship, or a UFO, if you want to call it that, that exists with intelligent beings who are actually in another dimension, another area of space that help feed this reality. In other words, when you go into the Dogon tradition of Africa, it is said that black folks came from Sirius. This is very, very serious business that we're talking about. And they come by the way of these ships. Well, when Jay Electronica was born on September 19th, 1976, and I want y'all to do a quick Google search on this real fast. When he was born, on that day, it is something called the 1976 Tehran, Tehran, Tehran UFO. All right? And you can actually go to YouTube, and it's on YouTube, you will actually see the actual jet pilots who are actually flying the Iran Air Force planes. They ran across the UFO. All right, and on YouTube, it's called the Iran 1976 UFO incident. Okay? Now, they approached this so-called UFO, and another ship came out of it, approached the fighter jet that was flying at the speed of sound, okay? Flying at the speed of sound, in this light object, this ship in the form of a light went around circles around it, and then another time, another one came out, went around it, and when the fighter pilot tried to engage it by shooting weapons at it, its weapon systems was dismantled. Okay? Now, I'm saying that to say that Jay Electronica clearly has a different message. Clearly. I remember watching a interview right here on YouTube, and Erykah Badu said, look at his ears. He looks like he's a little elf. He comes from a different place. He looks mysterious. And he does. All right? And he always talks about the mother plane, the mothership, talking about this divine connection. And Minister Farrakhan always talk about it, that if the race war was to really jump off in this day and time, today, that it will be a galactic federation of what people call UFOs, a spaceship that's going to appear on behalf of the people. Now, all I'm saying is you have to watch the correspondence Everybody has a divine role in God's plan. Our job is we're going to show you the correspondence. So all I want you to do is refer back to Jay Electronica being connected to the Nation of Islam. Understand that he comes from one of the most spiritual places in the United States, if not the earth. New Orleans is known for the magic. So let's just keep it real. That's why he say voodoo man, okay? So he comes from this place. He's affiliated with the Nation of Islam. And on the day that he is born, watch the science, the day that he is born, UFOs are actually identified on this day. And when you try to engage it, because at that time, the United States government was in bed with Iran, because Iran sat on the border of the Soviet Union. So in the early 70s, you had the United States beefing with the Soviet Union because of the Cold War thing. The signal came down to show you, to clearly show you that Jay Electronica is clearly what he calls from the will. Proof in the pudding. Right there. Now, I'm going to close it with this. Jay Electronica last child, Mars Macabre, as we talked about on one of the radio shows, Minister Jew talked about. He has a baby with Erica Badu, born February 26th. Now, everybody know the Nation of Islam Saviour's Day is February the 26th. That is said to be the birthday of Master Fard Muhammad, the great master. So how is it that Master Fard Muhammad came with a baby plane science, right? Came in the 1930s with a baby plane science, said that he was born on this day, and in 1976, 40-plus years later, Jay Electronica is born. The same day, a ship will come out of the sky to be seen and documented. And then as Jay Electronica grows up, he will go into the Nation of Islam only to get involved with a woman, very spiritual because she's a Pisces, only to get involved with a woman who will actually give birth to a baby, okay, named Mars Macabre, which is a whole other science I ain't got time to get into at this moment, but her birthday being the same day as the Savior, Master Fard Muhammad. That is not a coincidence, folks. There is what we call the law of correspondence is at work. And that's it on Jay Elect real fast. That's my 7 minutes of rundown. Y'all go back and y'all do the math. So Maya Spade, what's happening?
What's up, what's up, what's up? I'm back. Been missing for a minute. So Maya Spade, I've been gone, had a baby. I'm back. I'm ready to get into this knowledge. What's been going on?
Ain't nothing but this work, and I'm on mute so I won't have any background noise, but ain't nothing but this work.
Okay, I'm going to make it real quick. Ladies, I know I've been gone for a minute. I left y'all hanging. Y'all know I love to use the science of astrology to prepare. I'm what they might deem a doomsday astrologer, but I'm all about how can we use this science in a practical term and apply it to our daily lives, and that's what it's all about. What we're going to get into today, we're going to take two celebrity couples, and we're going to look at their lives, and we're going to look at their birth charts, and we're going to see what the compatibility was, what went wrong, how can we learn from it. I mean, we sit here and we watch their celebrities' lives play out before us, but instead of us, just getting a good laugh and, gossiping about it, let's learn from it. Let's see, where did they go wrong? Were certain situations able to be prevented? And the celebrity couple I'm choosing for this show is Wiz Khalifa and Amber Rose. Now, I know things have kind of died down with them. It was a real hot story last summer, and going into the fall, and they're either getting divorced or talking of getting a divorce, or right now I do know that they're separated. But what I wanted to point out with this particular couple is the fact that I believe they have a very rare connection. First of all, let me start with that. They have a very rare connection. I've done a lot of compatibility charts in my career, and I very seldom see what I call the double whammy Mars-Venus connection. And the two of them have this because both of them, even though they were born years apart, they both were born with their Venus and their Mars in the same sign. Now, if you have a little knowledge of astrology and relationship compatibility, Venus conjunct Mars in synastry is one of the strongest and best combinations that you can have. Some astrologers say it is a love at first sight connection. So the first thing I said when I saw their charts together was, okay, this is a real couple. They're not just together for publicity stunts and blah, blah, blah. These two really met. They really fell in love. They really have a lot of chemistry, and it was definitely a real relationship. Now, if Amber Rose had a great astrologer, they would have told her, yeah, this is a great connection and the sex is going to be great, but he's going to break your heart. They have the telltale Venus square Saturn aspect between the two of them. Ladies, this is what you want to look for. You always want to look to see how does a man's Saturn contact your Venus and how does your Saturn in your chart contact his Venus, because that is going to tell you, one, longevity. You need Saturn. Saturn is the glue. He's that gorilla glue, as a matter of fact, that holds a chart and a couple together. If you don't have strong Saturn contacts, that's just a booty call. You are a fly-by-night. You are a leaf on the tree of his life and vice versa. So you always want to make sure you have Saturn contacts. Now, Saturn is the glue that binds. It can bind you to a person in a good way, or it can bind you to a person in a negative way. If she had consulted an astrologer, they would have told her this relationship is going to be binding, but it's going to be in a negative way, and he's going to break your heart. Look in his chart. This man, if you want to know if a man is capable of being a womanizer, always look at the aspects between his moon and his Venus. Wiz Khalifa he was born with his moon in Pisces opposing, in opposition to his Venus in the sign of Virgo. This is a man who has a problem being faithful. He has a deep-seated problem with women, period, but that is a whole other psychological type of thing. We're talking on a practical, mundane type thing. That is one of the keys that would have told her, hey, his moon opposes your Venus in your chart and your Mars in your chart. So, one, he's not a man that is capable of being faithful. So he did it for a while. He might have been faithful to Amber for a while because he really did love her. They really do love each other. And I don't think it's completely over, but we'll get into that later. I don't think it's completely over, but he really does love her. But you have to look at the person as a whole. And astrology tells us, and it shows us what a person is capable of. They can love you to death, but they can still cheat on you. We all know that. And I think that with Amber, had she had sufficient warning, she probably would have still continued to go into the relationship with Wiz. But to me, going in with a certain amount of knowledge is what's important. So what we have here is a situation where we have a couple whose lives are playing out in the spotlight, and what we can learn from them is the fact that all good things do come to an end, and even though you do have these strong connections in your chart, sometimes heartbreak can be predicted, and in this case, with Amber Rose and Wiz Khalifa, it was definitely something that could have been predicted, and on her part, it could have been avoided. They also have, ladies, you want to watch out and look to see the aspects that your sun, the Uranus in your chart, how it aspects a man's sun. Amber's Uranus at 6 degrees of Sagittarius is in a square to Wiz Khalifa's sun in Virgo. So what that means when a couple has bad aspects between their sun and their Uranus is this is a man you can't rely on. It's a hot, cold kind of relationship, on and off, on and off. So he's going to be in her life personally, not just because of their son Sebastian, but he's going to be that unpredictable, on-off, I'm here today and I'm loving you and I'm gone and I'm doing my thing the next day. So he's always going to bring that unreliable, unpredictable, shocking behavior, doing things to upset her in a shocking manner, and it's always going to come out of left field. So that's something that she's going to have to deal with. But one thing that I can say in closing, ladies, you can always tell how a man feels about you. Look to his Venus and to his Mars. Because they have such a rare connection together, I don't care who Wiz Khalifa gets with. He can get with them twins again. He can get with one of the most beautiful, Miss America, Miss Universe. I don't care who he's dealing with and at what time. He is always going to love Amber Rose. And Amber Rose will always be a threat to any woman he dates because they have such a strong connection. He is going to be attracted to this woman when she is 60 years old and gray and arthritic and I don't care, wrinkled down, body gone. He will always find her attractive and he will always have love for her. So that is a bit of advice for whoever decides to get into a relationship with Wiz. Amber is always going to be a threat. So ladies, in closing, check your chart, check your man's chart. Heartbreak can be predicted. And I'm going to pass the mic to Jew. Brother Jew, how you doing tonight?
Man, I'm good, Samaya. Glad to be in the presence of such masterful thinkers and astrologers. Samaya been in the cut for a minute, but she's back. She sounds better than ever, man. So I'm good. Happy to hear you.
Thank you. I'm having babies and such, falling in love, having babies.
All right. That's what it is, man. Rocking the boat. But yeah, man, I'm gonna get into some of this controversy inside of hip hop, dealing with this young, self-proclaimed new classic and Iggy Azalea. Anybody that's been paying attention to the news feeds, following any information in the hip-hop genre, she's been the talk of the town for the last couple months, man, in regards to her place in hip-hop, the influence that she has on hip-hop, and whether or not people think she's authentic or not, or whether she belongs. You had a record by J. Cole. He just dropped a new record. I think back on December 9th, he put out a new album. And he had a track on the joint called The Fire Squad, where he mentioned how the culture and the sound of hip-hop has been hijacked and pirated. And he laid out some real interesting points and showed you how it just didn't begin in hip-hop. He showed you how Elvis came through and jacked the sound. He showed you how they put Eminem on this plateau where a lot of people consider him to be the greatest rapper to ever do it. And now you have Iggy Azalea, who's hit the market, and people are they're thrusting her into this position as if she's the cream of the crop, you know. So Cole had a line in there where he took a shot at him. Well, it really wasn't a shot. It was more like it was a wake-up call to the listeners to know that look what happens. You know what I mean? These people come in, they respect the genre, but they come in and somehow when the smoke settles, all the accolades, all the notoriety ends up going to these people who actually are what many would consider visitors into the culture. So when I'm looking at this thing, you know, because we're dealing with it from an astrological perspective, when we look at this thing, we have to say, how is it that Iggy Azalea can come into hip-hop with a very, 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 very short career at this point and already be considered the best or one of the best, you know what I mean, as far as the genre is concerned? You know, she's won a lot of awards this year, best rap album, et cetera, et cetera. But when you really look at the dynamic and the psychology of what's really going on, I don't know anybody in the hood bumping Iggy Azalea. I'm just going to keep it 100. I'm on the west side of Chicago. I don't hear nobody bumping no Iggy Azalea tracks, right? Not like that. So when we hear people in hip-hop, right, J. Cole making a reference, she's been battling Azalea Banks on Twitter. They've been having a feud for the last couple weeks. Q-Tip even wrote her extensively on Twitter. doing what he thought was explaining to her the culture of hip hop, how it was born, et cetera, and why people may feel some type of way about her position in hip hop. But the truth is that what I think is happening is artists who are in hip hop, really what they're saying is we have a problem with the corporate figures, right, who actually control the current and the advertisement and the publicity in which way these people get pushed into these positions, right? Because ain't too many black folks bumping Iggy Azalea, right? So really, what are we saying? What they're saying is we're upset at the way the machine is able to propel these individuals into the spotlight when we measure talent, right, and what we deem talent to be inside of the culture of hip hop, she's not measuring up to a lot of people's standards and what they consider real hip hop to be, right? So when we look at it, I say, well, the problem is the artists inside of hip hop, because they're probably oblivious to this science that we're talking about here on this Hip Hop Astrology TV now, that this thing is about 360 degrees of knowledge, right? And when we step back into that 360 degrees and get out of that small window, that 30-degree window of artistry, because that does have its place on the wheel of 360 degrees, when we start to look at this thing in totality, we see where we're coming up short and why we're placing our frustrations on the corporation and the movers and shakers who run hip hop, and it's not black people, and it's obvious, right? And we get frustrated when these things happen. But let's take a look at it. When we're dealing with astrology, we're dealing with something called, we got houses in astrology, we got zodiac signs. A lot of people familiar with the zodiac sign, but some people may not be familiar with the house placements, right? But they kind of got the same feel. You know, Leo, 5th house, Libra, 7th house, Gemini, 3rd house, right? All of these started from Leo in the 5th polarity of astrology. This is where a lot of the artistry comes from, right? This is where an art can be painting, music, a lot of different areas where you can express artistry, right? But it's generally a Leo, 5th house type of modality that we're dealing with. So looking at the artist, right, we have something in astrology called a sextile, which denotes it's a favorable aspect. It's 60 degrees. You're 60 degrees away. So 5 to 7, right? Each zodiac sign holds 30 degrees. So we're looking at a 60-degree angle, right? From left to right, right to left, et cetera, et cetera. So when we're looking at artistry, we see that we have Gemini in one direction, and we have Libra in another direction that denotes this sextile, which means it's a favorable opportunity, right? A pleasurable exchange of energy, right? A compatible flow of energy that we have working here. So the people who understand this, they utilize this science, and I'm just going to have to call it for what it is, they are the bosses of the game that generate the revenue, right? So if we know that we have an opportunity to deal with the public, to deal with the people, to make these artists sociable and likable, right? This Libra type of feel, right? By what they're communicating, how they're expressing themselves, Gemini 3rd house frequency, right? We stand a good chance to be able to capitalize in a capitalistic society and make some bread off of it, right? But when we start talking money and contracts, right, because in the Western world we utilize contracts to make agreements on how we're going to move forward, we have this also has a place in astrology, which is the 8th house or the Scorpio frequency when you're dealing with joint contracts. Come and sign your name come sign your Hancock on this piece of paper, and we can chop up the bread this way. But what happens when we look at that is we have something called a square, which is a 90-degree angle. Scorpio, right, to Leo, Leo to Scorpio, vice versa. This is 90 degrees. This is friction, right? This is unfavorable, right? Something's got to give. Something's got to budge, right? So we hear how these artists get sucked into these 360 deals, right, where they basically signing their life away, all the money that they're generating from their shows and having a share percentage with the people that actually firm the money, because the people who are behind the machine understand this science. And they also know that with contracts comes big business, because that's another sextile from the 8th house of Scorpio to the 10th house or Capricorn, which is big business. So contracts makes a lot of money, which equals big business off this artist. You see what I'm saying? So the artists in today's culture in hip-hop have to find a way to step into more than just this small pocket of artistry and actually expand and get into the distribution, get into the contractual language, right? But my stance is, and this is my stance, is that I'm just going to call it flat out. They're scared. And if they're not scared, they admit that the man is smarter than them. Because the moment you give me an excuse about why you can't, that means you're saying and we know that somebody else is, that means you just admitted that you either don't have the know-how, right, or this individual is way more intelligent than you are. But then when we see circumstances like Irv Gotti and Jay Prince say they were coming together, right, and this was the rumor mill that they were coming together to put forth and make a pitch to create their own distribution, all of a sudden the feds came in, right, and they started cracking them whips, right, and then that whole thing got it caved in and collapsed in on itself, and you never heard any more of those whispers or those rumors pop up again about distribution. You know, blacks actually stepping into that role of owning the culture, because if we own the culture that we create, right, then we don't have to worry about feeling a certain type of way about an Iggy Azalea, right, stepping into that spotlight, feeling like you have to depend on somebody else to give you the validation when you become your own boss of the culture that you create. So that's just a brief rendition, man, on how to use this science and use this craft to crack these codes, man, and take it to the next level in hip-hop using the craft of astrology. So that's my piece, man.
Hey, that's what it is. Man, I want to go in a little bit further, but this is just a little bit for y'all. You know what I'm saying? Enough been said, and we really got to crack the books, man. I do want to elaborate one tiny bit, because when you said this is about 360 degrees of knowledge, but then y'all turn around in the rap game, y'all get contracts called 360, and 360 we know is a circle. But if it's a circle, then what is that implying? You know what I mean? Is it a circle? Because a circle can look like a dog chasing his tail. You know what I'm saying? Y'all look like some little clowns chasing your tail because you don't even control distribution. How it's getting pressed up, how many getting pressed up, how it's going to get there. You ain't talking powernomics. The economics of your power, your dollar. Like you said, that's what the rumor mill said. If be true, it needs to come to light. And the minute you get that excuse, like the Prime Minister said, is the minute that you are admitting that somebody is doing something to you. And that's okay, because we know what that look like. We know what that look like. But if it's real like that and God is real and you say you believe, because best believe you say you believe in the higher force. You believe in God. Then if you believe in this God and hip-hop is real and God is real, then go outside and make your God come outside. In other words, where is God in the midst of Mike Brown? Where is God in Eric Gardner? Hip-hop? Hip-hop is dead. It was declared by the God Nas. Raise up. 360. They chasing their tail. 360 degrees. Or how you going around the solar system, how the solar system going around the Milky Way galaxy, how the Earth going around in the circle right now, as it's going around the sun, circles within circles. Samaya Spade, take us home.
So what is the solution? How do we, because I'm all about how can I take this in, instead of it being rhetoric, how can I take it and apply it to my life? How can they take this information and flip it and use it to their advantage?
Hey, what they say? The Snoop and Warren G say, if they know like we know, they better get on this. Hey, if you know what we know, y'all better get on this. This is the celestial will, the will in the sky, the power of the great divine God speaking through signs and symbols. You have to be of the Magi, the Magi, us, the secret order. The order that's always been here, so have no fear. The mother plane is here. The oracles are here. That's how they get us, Samaya Spade. That's how they get it. But this is Hip Hop Astrology TV right here. So y'all tune in, and we definitely be back.
Check the website, hiphopastrology.com. Samaya Spade going to be dropping articles over there. Myself, the Prime Minister Jew, I'm dropping articles. Noble Ampool, he dropping articles. We going to coach y'all. That's what we here to do. We going to coach y'all this game, but we going to give it to you through the stars that you all call stars, that you awestruck. Just like when you go outside and you look at these stars and you and all looking up at all these beautiful stars, that's the same way you are when you get in the presence of your favorite rapper or your favorite singer or your favorite actress. You are awestruck, right? You get nervous. You start trembling, all these things, right? We're going to teach you through this medium, through them, because this is who you look up to. These are your role models. This is who you want to be like. This is where you get your slang from. So this is how we're going to educate y'all. And y'all get up with us, man, because we the teachers of the 21st century, man. So hit us up, hiphopastrology.com. Stay with us on this YouTube page, Hip Hop Astrology TV. And anybody that wants personal coaching sessions, hit us up at info@hiphopastrology.com, and we'll get back with